Hey folks, no major updates on Salem's Lot 2023 yet, no trailer and no release date. There are a lot of rumours going around that this could be released on HBO and not get a theatrical release. Now I did receive a message from a good contributor to the channel, Mr. Jeremy Horne, who sent me a review of the final test screening that somebody had seen, and they sent it to Jeremy, and Jeremy gratefully sent it to me. And it's an outline of what they thought of the test screening. So thanks very much, Jeremy. I really appreciate this. And it gives an outline of the movie and a basic what the person who seen it thought of the movie. So I'll go through the review. I'll read it for you. So please bear with me. There's some interesting stuff here. And hopefully we will get to see Salem's Lot, the remake of this movie, sometime in the near future. So we'll start off. The movie opens with a flashback scene of young Ben Mears' bloody pirate story. A bunch of kids daring Ben to break into the Marsten House, and he goes in. It's pretty much a haunted house. He says it's very eerie. A person is hanging himself, but then disappears. We're assuming this is U.B. Marsten, who appears in the book, but didn't appear in the 1979 version of the Salem's Lot. So it's great that they've put that in there. But the ghost appears, and then the ghost appears, he says, and it seems to have been trapped, and suddenly an adult appears. Ben wakes up in a car, present time, the year is 1975. So the movie is set in 1975 in Salem's Lot, similar to the book, and close to the time of the 1979 movie. The opening, he says, isn't really explained much, and it seems out of place in the movie, just added to have a jump scare at the opening scene. That's disappointing to hear that. So if we give no further mention to U.B. Marsten, it's kind of a waste of time. I would agree with him there. It only gives us a reason why Ben hates the house, I suppose, he says, and the fact that the house is evil and why he avoided the town for so long. Ben drives to Salem's Lot. He's back there to write a book. We all know that anyway. The small town looks like Stephen King imagined it in the novel, and it feels like we're back in the 70s. Daytime scenes seem normal, and the nighttime scenes seem foggy. So we do have a good setting there. In the town. The movie has bloody moments, he says. It's not gory though. They do show the trauma that Ben has gone through, but it's kind of thrown in and not explained. But the character is likable enough. That's nice to hear that. The love story with Susan and Ben is kind of weak, he says, and the movie doesn't really lean on plot or character development. That's disappointing. I was hoping that they would delve into more characters from the book that were missing in the 1979 version and flesh them out, so it's disappointing to hear that. He said he has a Conjuring 2 vibe to the movie, which isn't a bad thing. The Conjuring 2 is very creepy, and it's a great horror movie. The slow-moving but creepy scenes, similar to the slow-moving creepy scenes with the nun in The Conjuring 2. The problem with Salem's Lot is that there is too many of these types of scenes, and they sacrifice character development for jump scares. It really slows the pace of the movie down, he says, and there's just too many of those scenes, in my opinion. It's dark, it kills the pace, he says. Each scene seems to go through the motions just to get to the jump scares. That's disappointing. Father Callahan was underused in this, he says. No character development at all. He is treated as a cameo. Very disappointing in how he was handled. That is disappointing because just like the 1979 version, that's the only flaw I do have with that version, is that Father Callahan doesn't really play any part, and he is a big part in the book, and I was hoping to see him get fleshed out as well in this version. It says, much like the original TV movie, the movie seems to be an inspiration for this. So the 1979 version is an inspiration for this, which isn't a bad thing. That movie is a classic, it really is. So I'm delighted to hear that. There is a scene where he says that the window scenes are similar to the 1979 version and are very, very well done indeed. There's a scene where the vampire child enters the room through the open window. The other child in the bed looks around fearfully, peering under the bed into the darkness. It's really well done. The child looks under the bed covers and sees two glowing eyes under it. Suddenly the vampire child crawls out. of the bed cover with blood smeared mouth and bites the other child. That sounds very frightening indeed. The vampires in this look pretty much like they did in the 79 TV movie, glowing eyes and pale skin. The introduction of Barlow is creepy, he states. We see him coming down the stairs through the point of view of his victim. The victim offering is a young person in a burlap sack, and through some holes the victim can see Barlow coming down the stairs with a candlestick. Very, very eerie. Great introduction of Barlow. Looks more like the 1970s TV show version minus the blue skin colour. That's great to hear. He says he looks very Nosferatu, that kind of a design. Towards the end of the second act, he says there was a scene where Ben is running through the street. He is facing the camera and behind him the street is empty. Susan yells at Ben to warn him and the camera pans back to the street and it's flooded with vampires. I read somewhere before, and I've seen on YouTube somebody reviewed the version they saw, the screening they saw, and this is very similar indeed. So this is accurate. He says again, another scene worth mentioning also happens in the second act where Matt Burke searches his house. I'm presuming this is the same kind of version we saw in the 1979 with Mike Ryerson. He immediately lights a candle and it goes out. We hear a loud stomping of something. He turns on a light bulb. Suddenly a vampire hand appears with long fingers and long fingernails, grabs the bulb and it goes out. The ending of the movie is different for sure, it says, and it's very cleverly done. It's a very clever scenario that is interesting and different, a fresh take. The ending takes place in a drive-in theatre. That sounds great. With the sun going down, with all the cars from the town parked. It's a battle in the drive-in theatre with the vampires and Barlow as the sun is setting. They have to locate Barlow's coffin, and the screen casts a shadow, allowing the vampires to attack. So that's very interesting. That sounds very exciting, where the sun is going down and the big screen at the driving is casting a shadow and the vampires can only attack in the shadow of that. That sounds great. So it says, so our main characters have to get to areas where the sun shines and to be safe, and the sun is setting and the time is running out. That sounds exciting. Crucifixes do major damages to the vampires in this movie. They glow when the vampires are nearby. That sounds great. He says here the movie needed more character development and better pacing, but it's not a train wreck. He says that the movie isn't that bad at all. It's a fun movie, and he doesn't think the movie is going to be shelved for very long. So look, that sounds promising, going by that screening and the person that saw it, that it's not a train wreck, only that the character development is not done very well. I heard that the running time for this movie is only 2 hours, so it was a very hard call indeed to get character development of the novel into a 2-hour movie. But all in all, that sounds promising. I'm not going to write the movie off just yet. So please comment below. What do you think? Do you think this is accurate? Do you think we're going to get it released in theatres? Do you think it's going to be on HBO streaming? Or are they going to shelve the movie altogether? I hope they don't. I hope we get to see this, because some of the scenes in that do sound promising. Again, thanks to Jeremy Horne for sending that to me. I really appreciate it. So please subscribe to the channel, slap a like on the video, and comment below what do you think. So take care, and we'll talk soon.